Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made, and you know what? We are rejoicing and we are glad in it. So if you're coming on live, I want to say welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Today is Thursday, November the 10th, 2022. Thursday, November the 10th, 2022. I am here live in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. Good afternoon to you wherever you are. It's 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time here. I don't know what time it is where you are, but whatever time it is, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. We're live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Before I get started on my show, as you see, I got my board all set up, so I got some game I want to share with you on how to lower your tax liability and maximize your profitability all at the same time. But before we get started, you already know the routine. Hit that like button if you can, hit the share button if you can, and tag Lolly Dolly everybody. Text, tweet, inbox, DM, yell in the other room, and let Lolly Dolly everybody know the Ramonepreston Show, Ramonepreston and the squad. We are here live on Thursday, November the 10th, 2022. This ain't no replay. This is live, real time, where I'm getting ready to give you some game on lowering that tax liability and maximizing and increasing your profitability. Just in case you don't know, my name is Ramonepreston. I'm the host of the Ramonepreston Show. Of course, it's called the Ramonepreston Show. And every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, I come on this show and I share information with you, like what I'm gonna be doing today. I give you game. I share with you principles and concepts and strategies and solutions that are designed to help you properly start, properly structure, so that at some point you can properly scale your business. Maybe you have a ministry, your income streams, and your wealth building dreams. So whether you're a W-2 employee, a 1099 contractor, a business owner, a preacher, a pastor, you could be all of the above like I am. Guess what? There are certain principles and concepts. There are certain strategies and solutions that you're going to need to know if you plan on properly starting, structuring, and scaling anything that has to do with business, organization, entity, money, finances, financial freedom, wealth building. And so that's why I come on this show every day to give you the game, to share valuable information with you. So if you would be so kind, before we get started on the 10 steps to lower your tax liability, would you please be so kind to put in the comments what city you're representing today? What city are you watching me from today? I love to know what city you're watching me from today, okay? So please put it in the comments. Let me know what city you're watching me from. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. And please don't get all deep and get all bougie and get all sophisticated, acting like you don't want nobody to know where you watching from. Just put in the comments where you're watching your boy from, okay? This is a beautiful Thursday, and it ain't a throwback Thursday. It's a throw down Thursday. We are here today throwing down because we want to grow. We want to expand. We want to prove that there's a lot of abundance on this planet. It ain't no shortage of nothing. There's no scarcity. We ain't living by those rules and regulations or policies. We are living by the truth that there's an abundance of opportunities, an abundance of open doors. There's an abundance of resources on this planet, and you and I, we have it at our disposal. So today I want to talk to you about 10 steps to lower your tax liability. Now let me just say this, because I do say it most of the times, but I want to just say it right now. I'm not a tax expert, okay? I'm not certified and licensed to teach on taxes, to work with you on your taxes. I'm an entrepreneur. And I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. And throughout my 20-year tenure as an entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about creative tax strategies. I have had multiple CPAs that I've worked with. I currently have a tax strategist and a CPA that I work with that I have for the past maybe 4 or 5 years with this particular company. And I have many others that I have relationships with that I talk to from time to time when I have some glitches or questions that I want to ask. But I also have my main one on speed dial that I work with at least on a quarterly basis. So I've done my own research and I've educated myself on these principles and practices because I learned in my 20 years as an entrepreneur that a lot of these sophisticated strategies and solutions and principles and practices that a lot of experts know and that they do when they provide their services, a lot of these things are not going to just come to you just because you think they should. In other words, just because you have a CPA or just because you have a tax strategist or because you have a tax expert, that you work with, it don't mean that they're going to educate you on these things. They might not be educators. They might not be teachers and trainers. They may just be specialists and experts in their field, and you pay them to do a job. And I think one of the reasons why entrepreneurs give CPAs and attorneys and experts a bad name and really a bad rep is because entrepreneurs typically assume that these experts are going to teach you and train you and educate you on these principles. That's not what their job is. Their job is to do what they do, what you pay them for, to provide a service. So I don't want to speak for them, but I'm just saying based on the CPAs and the tax strategists that I've had relationships with, that I've talked to, that I continue to work with today, a lot of them ain't teaching you a lot of this stuff. They're not teaching you what they do. They're giving you a service. They're providing for you a service. But you gotta at least know enough to know your way around these principles and practices. And that's where somebody like me comes in at. So even though I do provide education and information and training for entrepreneurship, for business ownership, and for all of these different concepts and principles that relate to business, I add these things into it because I know what it has done for me. I know what understanding these principles and practices have done for me and for my business and what they continue to do. So that's why I want to share them with you. So before we get into these 10 steps, and again, I'm just giving you like an abbreviated version of the things that I show my students and the things that I work with my coaching clients on. I'm giving you an abbreviated version. So if you want a more extended version, or if you want me and my team to work with you on understanding the basics of how to do this for yourself as an entrepreneur so that it can be easier for you when you go to a tax person. Like I already know, and my tax person has already told me this, I make their life easier because I keep my stuff together, because I understand the basic fundamentals of write-offs and business deductions and creative tax strategies and QuickBooks and accounting and forecasting and income and expense tracking. So I know a lot of the basics of this. I'm not the expert. I'm not the licensed certified person, but I know enough so that when I do go to that person who's licensed and certified, I make it easy for them because I got it figured out enough to know what I'm doing throughout every day, throughout every week, throughout every month, especially if I'm only checking in with my tax person once a quarter. And trust me, when you start making money in your business, or if you are making money in your business, you're probably having this problem too. You're gonna have a tax problem. You're gonna be trying to figure out ways to lower your tax bill. Even if you ain't got no business, people who work W-2 jobs pay more than they should in taxes. There are studies that show that over 80% of people who work W-2 jobs, over 80% of them pay too much in taxes. Why do you think people get the big income tax refunds? They're refunding you money that you gave them too much of the year before. But that's for another conversation. Today we want to talk about 10 steps to lower your tax liability. And here's how I want to begin this. I want to begin this discussion today with you by explaining to you that not nail one, and I'm getting ghetto with this, I'm going straight to the hood with this. Not now one of these 10 steps even matter if you ain't working out these two things. Okay? So I'm telling you, like, you gotta figure this part out. Let me just make it clear to you. So if you, bruh, if you, sis, if you, sir, ma'am, if you haven't figured out sales and systems for your business, I'm telling you, these 10 steps don't mean nothing. Because why are you lowering a tax liability for a business or for entrepreneurial activities that ain't generating no sales, that you ain't even tracking in a system? So I want you to understand, a lot of the stuff that I teach and I preach and I provide in my courses and in my mentorship program, these things are centered around showing you how to, first of all, start and structure the right business entity. Number one, that's why I talk about holding companies and divisions and subsidiaries. But once you get the right entity, the right infrastructure set up, the next thing you got to figure out how to do is take your ideas, turn them into products and services so you can make a doggone sale. You got to make sales. You got to make sales. If you ain't there mentally, because you still in la-la land thinking that you're going to get a $500,000 loan from somebody who can't even qualify you making money in your business, then you stay over there. But for those of you that are watching me and listening to me and you understand where I am with this, please get what I'm saying. This part of 10 steps to lower your tax liability, all these sophisticated strategies and solutions, they mean nothing if you don't have a business infrastructure set up that's, first of all, making sales. Because once you start making sales, you're gonna need some type of system to manage and to monitor and to track your sales. This is where your creative tax strategies are gonna play a very important role. So if you ain't making no money, what type of creative tax strategies do you need? What tax liability are you lowering? You ain't making no money. When you start making money, or when you start generating some sales and you're tracking those sales in systems, then you can start this process of figuring out creative ways to lower your tax liability and increase your business profitability. So for all intents and purposes, let's go to the 10 steps to lower your tax liability. And again, I'm just giving you a brief snippet of what probably needs to take a couple weeks for you to go through. I have a course on this. I have mentorship sessions that I go through these steps with my clients with. I have workshops that I host, like one-day deep dives where we go through all of this, including QuickBooks, because all of this stuff that I'm talking about doing, you should be doing it through a financial system like QuickBooks. That's how you should be doing it. If you printing out papers, pulling out, ledgers and 3-ring binders, and you got 18 calculators and you trying to figure this stuff out, you're doing it wrong. You got to go back to infrastructure and you got to go back to systems. Okay? And so that's the proper way to do it. I always want you to do it right the first time. So let's just assume you got the right infrastructure. Let's assume that you at least have some type of business activity going on, that you're making some sales. And let's assume that you have some type of financial management system like QuickBooks. And now let's assume that you want to make sure before this calendar year ends that you know what your potential tax liability is if in fact you went into the new year based on where you are now. You want to know your numbers. You want to understand the numbers behind where you are in your business. So what am I supposed to do, Ramon? Well, I'm giving you 10 steps to lower your tax liability. And you might be like, I don't even know if I got a tax liability. That's even worse. Because what you don't know is going to destroy you. What you know and don't do nothing about is going to destroy you. So we got to fix this problem now. I say this every year this time because people wait until March and April after they go to the tax person, after they find out that they didn't have enough write-offs and enough deductions and that they made more money than they thought they made, and now they got a big tax bill. They stomach hurt, they sick to their stomach, and they trying to figure out what they supposed to do because they ain't even got money to pay the tax bill, and now they worried, they're stressed. Well, you should figure this out now. This is why you need to be around people like me who talk about this stuff, who educating you on this stuff, who's showing you about this stuff, rather than just keep doing the same doggone thing every year after every year, and you keep burying yourself and you never scale to the next level. Remember what I said earlier this week. This income ladder, your goal is, remember I said earlier this week, your goal is to get here. Your goal is to get to the 1%, all right? Your goal is to get out of this income class and out of this income class. You do not want to be in the 99 percentile of poor class and anywhere in the middle class. Now, do we have to go through those income classes? Of course, we all have to. But at some point, your target needs to be to get to the 1%. That's either 400K to $1 million, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. 100 and up. Hey, it's possible. There are so many people that become millionaires every day. There's so many people that become multimillionaires, hectamillionaires, decamillionaires, billionaires. But it's still only about 1% of households in America. So I want to get you to the 1%. And these are things that you have to learn in order for you to get to that 1% and stay in that 1%. Because I know people right now who make hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they pay a whole lot of money in taxes, and they still like living like they make $30,000 a year because they don't understand these things that I'm trying to educate you on. So let's just assume you wanted to figure out how to, like an easy way to lower your tax liability. All right. This is what I want to give you, these 10 steps. And again, this is just a brief, condensed, like 30 to 45 minute version. So don't watch this and be like, oh, you ain't saying nothing. What you saying don't make sense and all that. It's only a show. I can only give you so much, but I'm giving you enough for you to be able to wrap your mind around that. Oh, wow, there is a way that I can do it. All right. So what is the first thing you need to do? First thing you need to do is you need to go, if you got QuickBooks or some type of financial management system, you need to subtract is the key word. Subtract your total expenses from your total profits year to date. So that means you got to go back to January 1, go to your reports. If you're in QuickBooks, you could go to the reports and you could pull up a report from January 1 to now. And what you want to do is look at your total profits and your total expenses. And you want to subtract your total expenses from your total profits, okay? When you subtract your total expenses from your total profits year to date, the next thing you want to do is calculate your taxable net profits to date. So let's say, for example, if you made $50,000 from January 1st to now, or $20,000, and you have $20,000 worth of profits from January 1 to now, and you have $12,000 worth of expenses. If you subtracted the expenses from that 20, which would be 12 in this example, now you want to calculate your taxable net profits. So if you made 20 grand this year, or 50 grand this year so far, and you spent half of that in expenses, the other half would be considered net profits or taxable net profits, just based on those raw numbers. But once you get that raw net taxable net profit number, the next thing you want to do is revisit all transactions from January 1. Now, why do I say revisit all your transactions if you already looked at your report? Because a lot of times you may have had transactions that are business deductions or write-offs that you did manually and it didn't hit your bank account, or you paid for it with cash, or you did something in your personal account that was a business expense and you never pushed it over to your business account. So once you subtract total expenses from total profits and you calculate what your taxable net profits would be at this stage right here, okay? At this stage right here, then you want to revisit all your transactions up year to date from the beginning, because you want to revisit to figure out, okay, what did I miss? Number 4, this is where you want to locate. You want to locate all missed transactions and you want to update your statement. So for example, if you went from January 1 to now, and let's say you made 50 grand this year, okay? You want to subtract all your expenses from that 50 grand. So if you ran a report and all your expenses are 25, that means your taxable net profits would be 25,000 in this example, right? Okay, so now you take the 25, which would be considered taxable net profits if you subtracted your total expenses from your total profits, and now you go back and revisit all your transactions. Personal bank account transactions, cash transactions, the manual ones that you didn't do, to see if you missed some. And this is where you're going to locate all your missed transactions and update your current statements. So you might have missed $5,000 worth of expenses or $10,000 worth of expenses. You bought a couple computers, or you went on 3 business trips and you paid for it in your personal account because your business didn't have money, because you didn't transfer the money over to your business or make an owner's investment or whatever. You got to go back and you got to locate that. And once you locate it, then you go back and recalculate that number. Because again, most of the people that I work with on this, they always find expenses that they had in their business that they paid for with a personal credit card, they paid for with a personal debit, they just took cash out their pocket and paid for it, or they were not aware that certain expenses that they itemized as personal expenses, some of them were actually business expenses. You get what I'm saying? Like you could go to Walmart and you could buy personal items, and then you could be in there buying items for your business, and you just cash out together. So you spent $300 in Walmart. 200 was personal, 100 was business, but you just paid the whole 300. Well, that $100, you should have gotten that receipt and pushed it over to your business. You get what I'm saying? So this is why you got to revisit all your transactions, locate the missed expenses, update that statement, and then recalculate it again. All right. Once you recalculate that again, step number 6 is you want to determine your available cash flow and weigh it against your taxable net profits. You want to determine your available cash flow. See, oh my God, I wish I had like a whole day to talk about this, because this is where a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners make a mistake. When you determine your available cash flow, what that means is when your business brings money in, okay? I don't care if it's $1 or $10. When your business makes a sale and generates revenue, it is your responsibility as the CEO of that business to take that revenue that comes in through a sale, and you've got to determine what needs to be set aside for expenses, for payroll, and for taxes, or just for reserves. See, you gotta be on top of your money to separate that. Because I know where we come from. A lot of us come from a place where you make $100, you go spend 100. Because I done did it. You got a $100 sale and you go spend the whole 100 going out to eat or something. But you can't run a business like that. You're not going to build a business like that. You got to be disciplined enough to understand this. So step number 6, once you do these, is you want to determine your available cash flow. Now, most business owners, when they do this, they don't have available cash flow. They don't, because you spent the money all year and you really didn't track it the right way, and you really didn't budget, and you probably suffered with sales, so you spent more money than you made. But you still want to determine your available cash flow, and you want to weigh it against your net profit. So let's say, for example, in this example we gave, let's say from January to now, if you made 50 grand and you calculated your expenses, you subtracted your expenses, you went back and revisited any missed transactions, you located new ones, and you recalculated. And let's say by the time you get to step 5, you realize that out of the 50 grand you made, you spent 30 grand on expenses, which means you got $20,000 left that could be taxable net profits. But when you get to step number 6, to determine your available cash flow, you might not have 20 grand in the bank, but if you paid taxes on that 20 grand, again, you got to work with your CPA to determine how much taxes you would pay on that 20 if you left it at that 20. But the thing of it is, you might not have, if it was 20%, if your tax bill was 20%, that means you would have to pay 4 grand. You see what I'm saying? You would have to pay 4 grand on the taxable net profits of the 20,000 in this example. If your tax bill was 20%, then that means you would have to pay $4,000 in taxes. But do you have $4,000 in available cash flow? That's why you want to determine your available cash flow and weigh it against your taxable net profits. Step number 7 is you want to identify all current or future deductions, depreciations, and investment opportunities. So it's step number 7, and I try to do this every quarter. I really do. I try to do this every quarter. And the people that I know who are making money and who, have a lot of potential tax liabilities, they do it every quarter as well. So once you determine how much available cash you got and you weigh it against what your potential tax liability would be at that time, then you want to identify with all current and future deductions, depreciations, and investment opportunities. So this is where you start here. You start looking at, okay, how much money do I have left? So let's say if in this example you made 50 from January to now, you spent 30 on expenses and everything else, and you got 20 grand that could be considered taxable net profits. And let's say if you tax that 20%, which I don't know, you got to talk to your tax person, and that would be 4 grand that you would have to pay taxes on. But let's say you determine how much available cash flow you got, and you got about $9,000 or $10,000 just set aside, right? But now you want to try to lower that 4 grand. You don't want to just pay 4 grand next year. You don't want to leave 2022 and pay 4 grand. And you probably going to be making more money throughout November and December. Now you need to identify with certain current and future deductions or depreciations or investments opportunities. So are there certain things that you could actually invest in, or certain property or certain assets you can get that have depreciation? Or are there certain expenses that give you deductions, current expenses or future expenses? This is where you identify with that. And once you identify with any opportunities that you see, number 8, you want to recalculate your new taxable net profits to date. Okay? So if you're not tracking me on this, it's probably just because you're not familiar with it, you're not used to it. Or maybe you're just confused. Maybe I'm confusing you. I know it works for me. And a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you, I go through this every quarter, and I work with my tax strategist on this, like I'm going to be this month as we prepare to forecast into 2023. So anyway, you recalculate your new taxable net profits once you've determined and identified. Number 9, you want to designate cash flows for salaries, operating expenses, reserves, and taxes. So if you ever get to number 9, you want to start designating money for the future. You want to designate some money for the future. See, this is why I'm telling you, none of this works if you ain't making sales. You see where I'm at? And none of this is going to make sense to you if you don't have a system to track all this in. So number 9, you want to designate cash flow for salaries, operating expenses, reserves, and taxes. See, I've got several businesses, right? I've got divisions, I've got subsidiaries, so I have a lot of different streams of income that come in. So I may be at a loss on one area, but be winning in another area, and I can win in another area and be at a loss in this area because I'm able to have enough reserves over here, and I can lower my tax bill because I'm losing over here while working on building my business up. So it's really a game that you got to play, but you got to have sales in order to even play the game. It's just the way it is. But once you start making sales and you start using these types of steps and strategies, it really helps you. And then number 10, you want to reinvest all free pre-tax cash flow into non-taxable events that leverage your business. So what a lot of people are going to be doing in November and definitely by December, people who got money, I'm talking about this group of people right here. This group of people, the 1% who own businesses, I'm telling you what they do. Right here in number 10, they're going to take all free pre-tax money that would be taxable income, and they're going to dump it into non-taxable events. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to come into 2023 probably with no tax bill, maybe at a loss on paper because they got depreciations, deductions, and tax write-offs. So those are my 10. I really want to help you understand this, and I'm making it real easy for you because, again, I have 2 signature courses that I'm giving access to everyone in my community to for $197. So this is the offer that I've been making for the past week or so. For $197, I'm giving you 2 courses. And these 2 courses are on, number 1, holding companies, and number 2, creative tax strategies. So all of this information that I'm sharing with you right now on today's show, along with much more information on deductions and write-offs and all the stuff that you need to learn about creative tax strategies, I'm giving you 2 courses for $197 so that you can start learning these things, especially if you're a business owner. And if you don't understand this stuff that I've been talking about right here today, if you don't know how to do this, if you're confused about doing it, I'm giving you an opportunity. What you can do today is you could pay $197, get access to these 2 courses, learn the basic fundamentals about holding companies, and more importantly, if you're already making money and you don't know what your tax bill is, learn what I'm teaching you about creative tax strategies. And what's going to happen is once you get access to this, in 3 weeks, I'm going to be hosting a free web class on both of these. And so during that web class, whatever questions that you have, whatever issues that you haven't been able to work out, we're going to have a couple hours to work through them, and I can answer your questions on that. But don't wait until we get to 3 weeks from now. My free web class is Saturday, December the 3rd. I want you to take the next 3 weeks to start studying, to start educating yourself, because again, it's going to take you a couple weeks to understand it, to figure it out. Not just those 10 steps, but you got to figure out how to go back and look at your deductions. Because let's say if you did this, let's say if you went back and you revisited all your transactions, do you know enough about this concept of creative tax strategies and business deductions and write-offs to know what is a business deductions? Do you have an idea? You got to figure this out, and you don't want to be calling CPAs and tax strategists and you don't have nothing together. Like, you ain't got QuickBooks set up, you ain't got your bank accounts aligned to your system so that you can start fleshing this stuff out. I want to help you do the hard part. I want to help you do the complicated part so you can have a little peace of mind. So all you have to do, if you want access for $197 to these 2 courses, and for the next 3 weeks, you study, you train, you educate, and then in 3 weeks, you join me for my free web class. It's virtual, so you could be anywhere in the world. It's going to be on a Saturday afternoon, and I can answer questions that you have because you've had 3 weeks to learn and to figure it out. And now you know what areas you need some answers to, what area you need some direction on. Now, if you are watching this live show and you already took me up on this offer, I'm still offering you any 2 courses that you want to choose. There may be 2 other courses in my Millionaire Blueprint that you want access to. I'll give you those 2 courses for the $197, especially if you already have access to these 2 courses, because that means you're either a member of one of my programs or you took me up on one of my last offers for $197. But if you have 2 other courses that you want, sales, marketing, corporate systems, business systems, I have a lot of courses in my Millionaire Blueprint. You could pick any 2 of those courses and I'll give them to you for $197 so that you could be prepared to track along with me for the next couple weeks. So if you want to take me up on that offer, all you have to do is text offer right now. Text offer to 404-478-7213. Okay, all you have to do is text the word offer. Text this word right here to 404-478-7213, and I will give you access to 2 courses, either the 2 signature courses that I'm going to be doing a teaching on in 3 weeks, or any 2 courses that you see in my Millionaire Blueprint that you would like to have access to. And if you don't know what those courses are, of course, when you text offer, we'll reach back out to you and we'll talk to you about the courses that are available. Or you could just go to Ramonepreston.com. If you go to Ramonepreston.com right here, I'm going here to the website right now. This is my main website, Ramonepreston.com. And I guess it don't want to come up. There it go. It's a little slow. So if you go to Ramonepreston.com, this is my website right here. Let me see if I can open it up a little bit. This is my website. If you click on training right here, I hope you see that. If you click on training, it's going to take you to my university platform. And you will see my Millionaire Blueprint right here. And so what I'm saying about you can get 2 courses for $197, any 2 courses you see in this program, I will give you access to for the $197, especially if you don't have the other 2. But if you have the other 2, if you don't have the other 2, these 2 are going to be helpful because you're going to learn how to lower your taxes, maximize your profits. I teach over 100 deductions and write-offs and a lot of creative steps that you could take even as a W-2 employee. If you're a W-2 employee, I teach a lot of strategies on how you lower your tax bill even from your job. So you want 2 courses for $197, just text the word offer to 404-478-7213. Listen, today is Thursday, November the 10th, 2022. I'm super excited about what the rest of this year is going to be for us because we got what it takes to lean in, to expand, not contract, and experience real abundance in our personal, professional, and financial life. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I appreciate you for joining the show today. Put in the comments before you leave today, put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. Like, what is the thing that you heard me talk about today and you like, oh my God, I did not know that, dog. Put it in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow, Friday, right here, 12 o'clock noon Eastern on the Ramon Preston Show. Have an amazing Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow right here. Same place, same time, 12.